All right, so it's recording and I'll edit this. All right, so what's up, guys? Your boy Steve here on the NDO Podcast. Today I have my girl, former classmate, Felicia DaCruz. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Just wanted to bring you on. For you guys that don't know, she was a starting point guard for Fairfield for 3 years. Played a crazy amount of minutes. I think it was almost 2,000 minutes. And she's one of the hardest players I've ever watched in my life. So I had to get her on. I had to have her tell her story because it's crazy. I think it's very motivating, very inspirational, and it'll help. I think it'll help a lot of you guys who, want to get to that level and got to realize the work that it's going to take and the obstacles you have to overcome to get to that point. So, but yeah, so how's everything going? How have you been doing during this crazy period in everyone's lives across the world?
Yeah, right. I've been good. I was struggling a little bit with some health issues during this time. I actually had corona back in March, but luckily I had just a really bad cough and I didn't have severe symptoms. I was kind of just, like I said, I had a cough and I was kind of feeling lethargic, but nothing too serious. And I wound up finding out that I had it like just a few weeks later. So I didn't even know at the time that I had it. So I was lucky enough to, surpass that, and just grateful that, no one in my family got sick, and, my sister or anybody like my grandma or anyone that's like elderly that was around me. So just happy that I got through it and that things are okay. And I'm glad that my friends and everybody else is safe and happy during this time, because I feel like it's really important to stay as healthy and active as possible. So yeah, that's
That sums that up. Yeah, no.
Sums it up.
Yeah. So, I mean, before we get into your story, I mean, what have you been doing that kind of help you, I guess, better lack of terms, just, staying, sane during this time? For me, I was training some kids, had Zoom classes, and I would work out. I would go outside and run and go for a walk. What was your kind of like, not getaway, but kind of release, during this time?
Yeah, I think we're really similar, Steve, in the sense of like just working out. It's a huge just endorphin relief for me. It's a huge just mental health break. I found myself, trying to adjust from going into the office every day and commuting and going to the gym every day to now trying to work out at home and using the equipment that I wouldn't normally use, So just trying to stay as active as possible was really, really helpful to me. I also found journaling was really helpful. I listened to prayer services every Sunday. So I listened to sermons. I'm part of like Hillsong Church in New York City. So I listened to that as well. So I also listened to Mike Todd from Transformation Church and Stephen Furnick. So I listened to a bunch of sermons on Sunday. I try to make a routine out of what I was doing, whether it's waking up and working out and just, prepping for the day for meals and making sure I was staying on top of my work. I found that it was hard to find a way to release from work because you're working from home. So I feel like you were expected more to be, you're expected to be more accessible and, more reliable when you're working from home because you have less things to do. Whereas I feel like when you're in the office, you're there for a substantial amount of time. You're there for 8-9 hours a day, sometimes 10, depending on the game nights and everything like that. But yeah, I found that I've been trying to find balances from, distancing myself from work and then trying to find things to do with my family as well. Just going on hikes and things like that. Just trying to stay active is just really important for me. And I found that was really helpful for the people surrounding me as well, family, friends. So.
No, that's huge. That's huge. And that's a key thing. Like you brought it up, and I wish I wish I talked about this. I probably haven't in one of my podcasts, but like you said, a routine and how that routine can kind of help you, stay on topic and stay focused and doing things to some sort of normalcy for yourself. And I might actually just talk about that next Monday. So thanks for that. But
You're welcome.
yeah.
I'm here
So,
to throw out just ideas for you then.
I love it, love it. And so, well, let's get into the basketball side of things. So we'll start off very simple in terms of just you and, when was when was the first time you really thought basketball was, like a love for you, or when did you fall in love with basketball, basically?
I found that I mean, I first started playing basketball when I was 5 years old, and I found a certain, obviously when you're young, you don't really know, you just feel like different types of feelings towards things, whether it's peace or a sense of just joy and excitement. So when I was younger, I'd probably say around second or third grade, I was like, wow, I really love doing this. I love just participating in it, love playing with friends, love just like going in my driveway. I had like a hoop, those old time hoops nowadays. They're different, but back in the day, you had those ones that go up and down and you could change the height of them and everything. So for me, I was dunking and all that stuff when I was younger because that was cool, but yeah, I found just playing in my driveway, dribbling, doing just simple, basic fundamental drills. I found some like real peace with that and just excitement and joy. And I think I started really getting serious with basketball in high school. I went to Albertus Magnus High School in Bardonia, New York, which is about 15 minutes from my house in Rockland. And I remember sitting down with my high school coach. He was my coach and athletic director, and he was like, "Okay, Felicia, you're great at soccer and you're athletic and you can play any sport you want, but you really have to figure out what your true passion is. Is it basketball or is it soccer, or is it, maybe it's something else, maybe it's musical related or whatever the case may be. Not that I was musically talented, but anything that I had interest in or a passion in." And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to play basketball. I want to, I want to play professionally at some point in my life if I'm capable of doing that. And I knew I wanted to play in college. I think it was really important for me dialing back as a 14, 15-year-old, saying to myself, okay, let me set these short-term goals, because everyone wants to play in the NBA. Everyone wants to play in the WNBA. If you're a basketball player, that's where you want to be. But let's be realistic here and say, okay, I was a great player and I still consider myself a great player, but those are small percentage of people. And not to say that you can't reach for that, because I think that's an amazing goal. And that was a goal of mine. But, you have to set short-term goals before you just reach for those, long-term goals. And I think, having conversations with my coaches and surrounding myself with the right people at that developmental stages of my life was really important for me, because I needed to set those goals.
Right. No, that's huge. Like, I agree with you completely on the goals thing. Just because, I mean, like you said, everybody says they want to play like the ultimate level, right? But realistically, like you said, the statistics, just numbers don't lie. Just getting to that point it's really tough. But the one thing that I've always noticed, and I mean, obviously you can definitely contribute to this. It's just like even if you shoot for that the highest point you can and you don't get there, you'll fall where you're technically supposed to be. Right. So as much as it may pain you that you didn't make it to the WNBA, NBA, but then you become a professional.
Right.
So, and that's the joy there, where you're still playing and you're getting paid. So that's something, and then that happens because you focus on the short-term goals in terms of just focusing on you getting better, doing the little things that you love in terms of the grind and things like that. So, I mean, let's talk about that then. Let's get into that. So let's talk about the developmental stages from, I guess, middle school through high school. Like, what happened there? What transpired? When did you feel like you can play at the highest level possible? How did that transcend?
I think for me, like I said, I think in when I was about 14, 15 years old, it was kind of sophomore year of high school, I started to realize, okay, I started to create those short-term goals for myself. Growing up in middle school and when I was younger, I realized that I was playing with boys because, you know, obviously boys are quicker and can jump higher and are more athletic than females. That's just, you know, the way it is. But for me, I found myself at gym class and stuff like that. Even just when I was younger, I was like, okay, well, I want to compete with the best, you know, at my level. And I want to continue to be the best girl, but not only the best girl, I wanted to compete with the boys, you know? So I think for me growing up, that was really important. Even in high school, I played, you know, I would joke around with my guy friends and stuff like that, but we'd play one-on-one I'd play with a group of guys outside of my high school season because in the summers, and outside of AAU, because I was like, listen, this is where I'm going to get better. You know, this is where I'm going to work on my quickness and my agility and my strength is like, you know, and they took me seriously, and which I was grateful for, because, you know, a lot of females, you'll see this now, and, you know, guys won't take them as serious. If they walk onto a pickup basketball court, say outdoors somewhere, they're gonna be like, oh, what's this girl doing here, you know? Whereas I really think it's important to change that culture, and I think we're starting to do that now. But yeah, I think back then obviously it was a little bit different. But yeah, so going through these developmental stages, like I said, when I was 15 years old, I was like, okay, let me set these short-term goals. And my first short-term goal was to actually make this team in Westchester, New York. It was the Lady Knicks, and it was one of the best AAU organizations in my county, in my area. So I live in Rockland County, but in Westchester County, that's where I knew like the legit basketball players were. And at the time, you know, high school basketball was extremely competitive. You know, they had Ossining High School there. They had a bunch of high schools that big name players were going to different, you know, they were going to UConn, they were going to big name schools. And so I knew I wanted to play with those players, but I had to work my butt off. I had to, you know, set these goals. And so, like I said, the first goal was, I remember showing up at this tryout for the Lady Knicks in Westchester, and I was petrified. I did not want to go. I knew I wanted to be there, but internally I was so scared and I was so worried because I didn't know what was going to come out of it. And I showed up, and I knew all these girls, but they didn't know who I was because I was from a different county, and they might have heard of me or something like that. But at the end of the day, you know, these girls have been playing together since they were younger and since they were little kids, and this organization has been built up from the ground up. And so I was just like the new kid on the block, and no one talked to me. Everyone was, you know, just doing their own thing. Everyone knew each other, you know, and I was like, okay, I'm going to prove to them that I could play with them. And, you know, it took, gratefully, I was so nervous the first day, but, you know, 3 tryouts in, I was like, okay, they were like, okay, we don't know this girl, but okay, she can hoop, you know, she can play. So I was, you know, I made the A team because they had so many girls that they split it up, A, B, C team. And, but yeah, I obviously made the A team, and, you know, I became best friends with these girls. Obviously they were my AAU teammates. And then after that, that kind of just, my basketball game just grew after that. I was surrounded by really, really good players that had dreams of playing Division I basketball. And seeing that they had already created these goals for themselves, I was like, okay, now my next goal was to play Division I. And, you know, my coach set me up with the best trainer. You know, we had trainer come in, we had to wear like weight vests. So we practiced nonstop, like twice a day, 4 times a week. And yeah, it was crazy. So we did, talk about like hard work, a lot of work. Like I spent, you know, every weekend, you know how AAU is, we spent every weekend at tournaments. You spend hours there all day, every day. Like you just hoop all day in the summer. And we started our AAU season actually right when like it was possible to, we started. So I think it's like the end of March, early April. The rules might have changed now, but I know like back then you couldn't start to like all the high school, pretty much technically your season ended. You couldn't play AAU until your high school season ended. So we had like a trainer, we had weight vests. We were practicing like for 3-4 hours. We'd have weights before, then we'd practice with these weight vests on. We'd run full court sprints, anything you can think of, court drills, with these weighted vests on, and it was so beneficial to us because we hated it at the time, but we didn't realize that we were practicing so hard to make the games easier. You know, when you're younger, you're just like, oh, I hate this, or I don't want to be doing this. Damn, like this is hard. But then you realize that, wow, like after you take that like 15, 20 pound weight vest off you, you're like, wow, okay, like I feel lighter, I feel quicker, I feel like, you know, I don't have this weight vest on me in the game. I feel stronger. I can play with these girls because, you know, my coach like I said, he set us up in the best tournaments in the country. So we were traveling to anywhere, to Chicago, to any of those Blue Star, you know, tournaments where it was all these big name girls from all over the country. And he just set us up to succeed. And I was really, really grateful for that. So I had a transition year in my sophomore year, but my junior year of high school was definitely my best year because I obviously got a lot of Division I looks. I got 18 Division I offers, and I was just extremely blessed and thankful to be able to do that. So yeah, that's kind of where my stages started.
No, that's huge. Wow. That's you know, that's pretty intense. And like, yeah, I didn't even get to experience that because my AU experience is totally different, but something like that is definitely game changing, you know. But that kind of also speaks to you as to who you are as a person, and that you got challenged. You went to a completely a spot where you were completely unknown, and you had to prove yourself. So you were just driven, you know. And I know, you know, hopefully whoever's listening to this or watches this is just like, you even said it, you were afraid, you were nervous, you just didn't know what to expect. But at the end of the day, it was just basketball, doing something that you love to play. So you just went out there and just played as hard as you can. And then the things happen for a reason. So like, you played hard because that's who you are, and the right things transpired and ended up you making the top team, you know. And so that's something that I think people should take from that. It's just, there's going to be situations in everybody's lives where we're nervous, and it's perfectly normal. It's okay, because that means we care, right? If you weren't nervous, either you're too cocky or you just don't care, you know. And it can be an humbling experience, you know. So yeah, let's actually
100%. I was going to say it was a very humbling, not to cut you off there, sorry Steve, but it was definitely a very humbling experience, because you come from being one of the best girls from your county to now going just to a neighboring county 30 minutes, you know, 20, 25, 30 minutes away, to being like, damn, like these girls can play, you know what I mean? So you might be the best girl in your county, but there's girls working twice as hard as you, or have been for prior. So I felt like I was almost catching up, you know,
Right.
Like that's why I said I had a transitional year, because I was catching up to these girls who had been training like this hours and hours and hours with weight vests for like 2-3 years prior to me. So I'm like, dang, like I got to catch up, you know? So that just pushed me harder. It really, really humbled me. And it made me just work harder in the summers. It made me, not only in the summers, but even throughout my high school seasons. And that just carried over into college. So
and that's huge. So let's go into that. Let's get to that transition from high school to college. What was that process like? Like, everybody's recruiting process is different. And obviously, like you just said, you had a lot of offers. So, you know, what kind of like pushed you to the direction that you took?
yeah. Well, I should probably like dial back a little bit and just say that, you know, it's really important, I think, even nowadays, as a female basketball player, to, you know, weigh your options, because I think at the time I was so eager to become a Division I basketball player, but not knowing that there's Division II programs that are just as good as some of the Division I programs. So for me, I was so pushed ahead to playing Division I and wanting to play at a certain level, which is it was great. And I was so blessed to be able to do that. But it's also really important to understand your surroundings, understand what you want to major in. You know, basketball is my life, and it's my passion, and it's something I will always love. But there's other things besides basketball that you have to weigh when you choose a school. So you have to choose whether it's academically, what do you want to major in? What do you want to do? So I had wished that I had someone to guide me towards like academics as well, because I felt like I was so solely focused on basketball, which is so great. But you also have to weigh out, okay, you know, my career is going to end at some point in my life. What do I want to do following basketball? You know, so yeah, just that was just a quick side note. But yeah, I guess just like I said, weighing out your options, knowing what division you want to play at, knowing the effort and how much dedication it costs. You know what it's like to be a Division I, you know, male basketball player, and what it's like to play at the Division I level. So for me, I knew I wanted to play at that level because it was the highest level, and I think a majority of people that are, you know, have that dream will, you know, work as hard as they can to get there. But for me, it was, I want to play Division I, and I had, you know, a couple of criteria when it came to wanting to play not only Division I, but okay, I wanted to play, like I said, I had several offers, but I wanted to be able to go into a program and make a difference. I didn't want to go to a program where I'd sit on the bench for 2-3 years and then maybe get my senior year, get some minutes in. I knew that I wanted to play, and I wanted to have an impact right away. I wanted to have an opportunity to start. So, you know, playing at a mid-major level, I think playing at Fairfield was the right fit for me because, yeah, I had higher Division I offers like Rutgers and St. John's, but I knew that I wanted to play, and I don't know if I would have been able to play and make an impact at that level, knowing what I know now or knowing what I knew back then. So I think I made the right choice in the right level and the right fit for me. So yeah, I think that, like I said, I wanted to be close to home. That was another criteria that I had. So it allowed my parents and my sister and my friends to come see me play. I wanted to make an impact. I knew I wanted to have the opportunity to start my freshman year, which I did at Fairfield. Obviously I had Desiree Pina, who was a great point guard at the time, who was a senior going in my freshman year. So I got to be under her wing and learn like the true Fairfield women's basketball style. But yeah, so like I said, I had some criteria, and I think it's really important to make a pros and cons list when you're deciding schools. But I definitely wanted to stay in the MAC conference. It was a great conference, and it still is. It's very competitive. I think every school, both on the men's and the women's side, is very competitive. I think there's no, like, I think you can agree with this, Steve.
Completely.
Yeah, it's very, like, you know, you can go all the way from top seed to bottom seed. That bottom seed could still beat the top seed on any given night. And I think that's what really attracted me to the MAC conference, was, especially on the female side, was, you know, yes, of course you had those top 4 or 5 schools, but that doesn't mean on any given night that, you know, 6, 7, and 8 couldn't beat those higher seeds. So I think that's what really made it competitive and a great environment for me and a great fit for me. But, you know, when it came down to it, I was really deciding between Fairfield and Marist. Those were my top 2 schools. And especially, like I said, when I decided to go into the MAC conference, and it was very, very difficult. I remember like sitting in my room and I turned off my phone. I didn't want any outside distractions. I just was home with my family, and I just weighed out the pros and cons of both schools. And I was like, they were so close, as in like Marist was only in Poughkeepsie, New York, you know, and Fairfield like almost equidistant, like in terms of like just distance wise. And I was just like so distraught. But I remember thinking to myself, okay, at the end of the day, you're going to make the right decision, do what feels right. I took 2 official visits to both schools, and I just was like, okay, like I'm just going to go with my gut. And I went with Fairfield, and I'm just, like I said, extremely blessed and thankful. I met amazing people. I met you there. I met, you know, so many of my best friends to this day, and I couldn't have been happier with my decision. So,
Yo, this is so crazy. Like everything you're like, it's so crazy how similar we are mentally. Like it's so wild. And here's even what's scarier. My 2 schools, I mean, I didn't have Division I scholarship offers, but my 2 schools I was picking was between Marist and Fairfield. Academically, and my plan was to either walk on at either school.
That's
so
awesome.
Here's the funny thing. I visited Marist. I didn't visit Fairfield, so I went to Fairfield blind.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't even know that. That's so
yeah,
cool.
no, I haven't really told people that. So, I guess everyone just learned something about me, but seriously, like, no, what I'm saying too is just like the mentality part you were just talking about, just understanding who you are and what you want. And it just should, and what you said should go for everybody in basketball, period, was find the right playing style for you, find the right environment for yourself. Don't get so gung-ho caught up on division one. You can get a great education at a division 3. You can get a full ride at a D2. You can get a lot of school paid for a division 3 school. And in my opinion, I believe a lot more D3 schools are better academically than a lot of D2 schools. But obviously
Right.
the difference is the paying part. So like it depends on everyone's situation. It depends on the need of certain people. But like you said, it should be based on what makes you happy, right?
Right.
What makes you, what you want to go to a place where not only you'll enjoy playing basketball, but you'll have, and you will enjoy taking classes. You have the major stuff you're interested in, and then obviously have a life outside of basketball. So like that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Like, I remember visiting Fairfield, and I visited Marist. I met all the girls, and they were lovely. They were great. The coaching staff was awesome. Obviously they had come off like winning 4 prior championships. I was like, this is bomb. I hope I have 4 rings on my fingers when I'm done, and they had so much to offer. And then it felt good to be there. But when I went to Fairfield, it literally felt like home. When I met the girls and I walked into the practice gym, and just knowing the practice gym was separate from like where we actually play, I felt like this is like intimate environment where we could just hoop and not have to feel like, like we're in alumni hall, we're in our own practice gym, where we're in our own space. And I think for me, that was really important. And I just felt like really at home and at peace. And like I said, I went with my gut feeling. And I think that's really important for guys and girls going through this process right now or in the future, to go with what feels right and go with your gut. Because like you said, you went blind, but something was pulling you to Fairfield, something or someone or anything, something had, attracted you towards that school.
Yeah.
And something I told you, don't go to Marist, go to Fairfield. So I think, even if you don't experience that like bubbly kind of feeling when you're there, do what feels right for you. So I think that's what's really important in this process. And if I had any advice for anyone, that's definitely what I would tell them going through it.
Yeah, it's just so everybody's listening, we gotta get Fish to start her own podcast, because she's got a lot of gems to drop on so many people. So anyway,
We'll get there. We'll get there.
we definitely need her to do that. Anyway, so so let's peek into, your years at Fairfield. Just talk about your experience. I mean, obviously we both, speak so highly of the culture, the people that we've met, and just, the camaraderie of who we were as a unit. And so just speak upon your experience, and then and then we'll go post Fairfield after, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. So like I said, I had Desiree Pina as my she put me under her wing my freshman year. And I played a little bit here and there, but I was it was a learning curve for me. And I think it was adjustment and it was humbling as well, because like I said, going from that high school, going from Rockland County to Westchester County, and that being a humbling experience, I think going from being the best player in my county and the best player, in my area, and, being on newspapers and magazines, and having like so much, pressure on that. But I think, being a big name, but then going to a school and then being like, okay, but all these girls are big names now. Like all these girls are somebody from their county, from their area, from their state. I had girls from, I had a teammate, Laura Vetra, who was from Latvia. I had Casey Grace from Ireland. Like, these are the best girls from their areas and also their countries. So, Casey Grace played for the country of Ireland, which is incredible. And then you had Christella Conaketch from France, who still is playing overseas. So I had girls from all over the world on my team playing from all different areas that were the best players in their areas and the best players in their, from their respective places. So I think that in general was an adjustment and definitely a wake up call for me, because it was like, wow, like, you think you're at a level and you are a good player, but there's always going to be room for improvement. There's always going to be room to get better, no matter. And I think even NBA players and WNBA players say this now, there's always, I watch, videos all the time. I see Sabrina Ionescu saying, I still have to get better. And she's one of the best college basketball, women's and men's basketball player to come out of college, ever. So she's still saying, I got to get better. And she's probably one of the best female basketball players I've ever seen in my life. So it's like, for me, I knew I had to get better. There was definitely an adjustment period my freshman year, and then going to my sophomore year, learning the style of play, learning what Frager wanted, learning his style. He had over 50 to 60 plays. So offensive plays, we had a playbook that was the size of, I don't even know, a dictionary. And I was like, God dang, like, I have schoolwork, and then I have this, like, I got to study this. And I remember just studying them. I stayed after practice. I'd stay with a few teammates just to learn his plays, because it was such an adjustment. I came from high school where, in AU, where it's like just up and down, kind of, very pickup style basketball, where this was very, very strict and I don't want to say stagnant, but very fragmented way of basketball. It was very fundamental. It was broken down by, basic things, but it was also a complex system. So every team that scouted us was like, this is so hard to scout you guys, because we had so many plays. We had so many different options to plays and stuff. So, like, going back to, what I was saying is just, it was a very humbling experience my freshman year, but adjusting my sophomore year, getting minutes and being a starting point guard for the next 3 years, and then being, 9th all time in assists is something that I'm extremely blessed and thankful for. And I'm the type of player, and you've seen me play millions of times, is just like, I'm a pass first point guard. I always love to see other people around. I think that the best point guards, and this is maybe just my opinion, yeah, of course you have to have the ability to score and take the ball on your own, and whether that's have a pull-up jumper or take the ball to the basket. But I think it's also really important to make the people around you better and to be a leader. And that's really where I honed in and focused and put all my energy in making everybody better and being a voice in the team, because for me, I wanted to be that person that everyone leaned on and taking on that pressure, because I knew that that's what I wanted to do. But everyone has their own role. Everyone has their own responsibility, and it's a team. And I think we really fit in those pieces really well, especially my junior year. But yeah, we definitely, it was a great experience for me, and I learned so much, and I learned from so many different people and so many different, my coaches were great. All my 4 years when I was there, and just, learning from them was great as well. It was definitely, it's a wake up call. You have to learn not only what your coaches tell you growing up from high school to AU and from middle school, but then you got to adjust to a new coach for the next 4 years. And, me and Frager had a great relationship, and I was very honest and open, and he was the same, and along with my assistant coaches. So I was grateful for that.
No, that's huge. The one thing I can say that to you as a player, and from what I saw, was passion, was that positivity, was that leadership, which is something that like is so important to have, especially as a point guard, and as your leadership ability was amazing. And like people,
thank you.
I think that's something people don't really consider. They consider it like as an important trait to have, but when it comes to scouting and stuff, I think like a lot of like coaches need to make sure they can get a sense of that, because you went, even if you had a bad shooting game or whatever, you were still doing it on defense. You were still taking the charge. You were still diving on the ground for loose ball. Like, you did all that stuff, which helped the team, which is like, you were like the glue. Like, you were like this.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, seriously. And like, but that's rare. Like, people don't realize, and I'm not trying to I'm not trying to insult you anyway, but like, you don't have to put up 20 points a game.
Yeah, I think my highest scoring points was like 23 in college. Yeah. And it was just going off your point is like, and I was going to mention this before, is just, I was never a high statistical player. In high school, I averaged about like 16, 17 points a game. I didn't even score 1,000 points in high school. And that to me didn't matter. Like, I still made it Division I. That's why I think we, as in both me and you, and also the basketball culture, is teach these kids, and, you know, whether it's not all about scoring, it's about leadership, it's about your effort, it's about dedication, it's about your passion, it's about what you bring to the team, not only statistical wise and points wise, because there's so many more components to the game. And I learned that, you know, I learned taking charges was a huge thing for me. Yeah, I might not be shooting the best, or I might not be contributing that much on the offensive end, but if there's a way that I can stop a girl defensively and maybe shut her down, and, you know, there was great point guards that I played against that played overseas as well, and great guards, but if that was my assignment for the day, I'm cool with that. Make me the stopper, or make me someone that's going to take the charge and allow my team to have more offensive possessions and more opportunities to score. So I think for me, that was just, you know, like you said, I was never a high statistical person. I didn't have huge numbers, especially when it came to points. Yeah, I'd rather have 10 points and 10 assists. I'd rather have 11 assists and 6 points. Like, that was just me, because I knew that I was making my team around me better. And as long as I saw a W up there on that scoreboard, and I saw that we won and our record was where it needed to be to make, you know, the finals, that's what I wanted to do. So.
No, and that's the attitude, like, to have. And like, me personally, like, I had my own battles in my head with what was going on. But like, if I had that mentality I had that mentality where I just wanted to help the team win. But then my senior year I got in my own head. But if I had that mentality throughout, I think I would have been much better off in the long run. But that's besides the point. The point is, you understood who you were, and you understood that's what you wanted to do. And I think that's what makes you that's what made you so dangerous.
Yeah. And I think, don't get me wrong, Steve, is like, I definitely had my point. I was human. I definitely had my points where I was like, wow, I'm not scoring enough, or am I really contributing enough because I'm not scoring? Like, there's definitely those thoughts that definitely occurred very frequently throughout my career at Fairfield. And feeling that I wasn't contributing enough, especially in my senior year. I think we both had those times where we're like, okay, we're expected to be this very, like, you know, my junior year, I was third in the country in assist to turnover ratio. I had a pressure on myself to be better than I was the year prior, even with less scores surrounding me, you know, but even myself was like, okay, I felt like I had to take on that load, and I didn't have as good as a senior year as I had planned. But, you know, that's life. And I took my career and I turned around and I said, that was my career at Fairfield. I didn't say, yeah, I was unfortunate that I didn't have the best senior year and I missed a few games from injury. But at the same time, I was like, hey, like, this is life. We go through ups and downs. And this is what people need to understand is you're going to have bad games. Not everybody's perfect, you know, and to be a great basketball player, you have to be mentally and physically and emotionally there and able to undergo uphill and downhill battles.
Yeah, and I'm right there. I completely agree with you. I think we were also the only seniors.
We were, yeah.
Yeah.
I came in with a girl, but she ended up leaving my freshman year, and then, yeah, I don't know what happened on your side.
Yeah, Adam. Those guys, Adam transferred.
Yeah, they left.
Yeah. Vince got hurt, and so we were the only seniors. So we had, for me, my unfortunate legacy with Fairfield is we had the 2 worst seasons in school history. But on the positive side, I was a walk-on turned scholarship, and I worked my tail off to start a decent amount of games. So I think
100%.
it's crazy. We both really worked our tails off to get to where we were. Now, boom, we both have these dreams beyond college. So what happened for you post-college?
Post-college, like I said, since I was younger, I had always had these short-term goals, and my next goal was to play overseas. I'd always wanted to play in the WNBA, but now knowing what I know, and I worked for New York Liberty last summer, those girls are at a whole different level. Like, I had sat courtside, I worked right directly with the team, I did PR with them, and I was just in awe because I was like, these girls can play. I was like, these girls are on another level. Like, it doesn't mean you have to be from UConn. You could be from any school. You can look at what's her name, Erica Wheeler, who's undrafted in the WNBA and had the Defensive Player of the Year. Like, just girls from just like hoopers. You know what I mean? But anyways, so my next short-term goal was to play overseas, and I ended up working my tail off. I got into probably the best shape of my life, and was eating super healthy, training hard, and I went to a few combines, bounced around, and I signed with an agency over in New Hampshire. I went to this combine. It was like 60 girls were there, and there was like 4 of us that signed, and I was really grateful for that. And it winded up how the overseas process works. It's very difficult to trust people. You don't know where you're putting your money. That's a whole nother topic of conversation.
We can have another
We can
conversation
get to a whole nother episode of your
yes,
podcast.
we can do that
100%, because I
would
feel
love to
like
do that.
that is, yeah, 100%. We could do that, because I feel like that's a whole nother episode to talk about, because playing overseas, I really had wished that someone had told me or directed me or guided me. I was going in blindsided, and like most people are, even still nowadays, and you don't know who to trust. You don't know what emails, what calls, who are these people. You don't know. Like, at least when you decide for a school, you're visiting the school, you're seeing the school in person, you're meeting the team, you're meeting players. I didn't know what I was doing. And so I signed with an agency, and unfortunately it fell through, and I just couldn't wait around anymore. So I wound up being the director of basketball operations at Fairfield, because I didn't have an offer. I had a quick offer, and then it got pulled in August. So I was like, you know what, I didn't really want to wait around. So I ended up being the director of basketball operations at Fairfield in October. And it's so crazy. My agent reached out to me like a week later after I accepted the job and was like, we have a spot for you in Germany. Are you ready? And I was like, listen, like, I already took a job. I wanted to, I kind of knew that I always still wanted to play, but I had to take this job offer. And I knew that I eventually wanted to still be involved in basketball in some circumstance, whether it's coaching or now even working for the NBA. But so anyways, I bounced around to jobs. I worked at Fairfield for a year, loved it. It was a great experience. I would definitely recommend, being the director of basketball ops anywhere at any level, Division 1, 2, or 3, because you learn so much of the behind the scenes of court operations, and just, getting to sit in on coaching meetings, because, as a player, we see a different side of the preparation and the recruiting and the scouting and all that stuff. So that was a great experience for me. I learned a lot, and definitely got to learn some things I've carried over into the NBA now. But so I bounced around to a little bit of jobs. I was a personal trainer for about 8 months at Equinox. And then I still had an itch to play. And I was like, I know I can play. It's just I have to get into contact with the right person. And at the time, so now I'm like 2 years out of college. And at the time, I knew that Christine Miller and Kelsey Carey were going over to Ireland. And I was like, how did you guys get this? Blah, blah. And they were like, listen, like, this coach just like reached out to us. And like, do you want to play? And I was like, of course. Like, how do I get there? What do I do? Just like, and I knew I could trust them. They were my teammates. They're my best friends. I was like, okay, these people I can trust, So I was like, perfect. This is a perfect situation. So I got so excited, and they were playing in a team in Dublin. They were going to get their master's free scholarship to go play over there, get a master's for free. Awesome. Like, great experience. I'm like, okay, great. And then their coach, I had a conversation with their coach, and he was like, listen, Felicia, like, we've seen your highlights. This is all great and good, but we can't accept you because they couldn't have 3 Americans, females on a team. I was like, oh, so I was like heartbroken. And he's like, but listen, let me contact a few coaches in Ireland and see what the situation is, and I'll get back to you. And I knew that I could semi-trust this guy because my 2 best friends were going over and playing for him. So I knew that he'd get back to me, because if not, then I knew, one of them would hackle him and be like, get back to our point guard, So I winded up, he got me in contact with a coach, Martin Conroy in Carlow, Ireland, which at the time, Steve, I was like, what? Where is this? Like, at first I'm like, Dublin. All right, cool. I know where that is. Like, we're good. And I was like, Carlo. I was like, what the hell? Where is this? It was like Central Ireland. I was like, what? I like checked it out on Google Maps. I like zoomed in. I was like, what is this? It was like farmland surrounded. I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go. Amazing experience. I loved it. So I winded up signing with the coach over there, and he was like, I want you. I've seen your highlights. This is great. You're exactly the type of point guard I want for my team. I've heard great things from Dave Baker, was Kelsey and Mills's coach, and he was like, I'm signing you. Like, I'm sending you the paperwork. And I was like, this is like kind of too good to be true. Like, this happened way too quickly, and I had several Skype calls with him. He had this strong Irish accent. I was like, I just felt like so just at home and at peace. And I was like, okay, like, cool. Like, at least I can see this guy. I can talk to him. I know, like, I met his family on Skype. Like, that's just how Irish people are. They're just like so welcoming. I just met all these people. I was like, this is great. So then, so I wound up signing. I worked my tail off, and I, knew I was going over there. So I went over in August. So I trained my butt off in the summer, dial back a little bit before I had talked to Mills and Kelsey about I know I'm kind of bouncing around, but before I had signed with Ireland, I actually went to Spain and played in the tournament over there, which was incredible. And it was a great experience. I got to play on like the Spanish teams over there. It was in Mataró, Spain, which is like about 45 minutes from Barcelona. And that was before I'd even talked to Mills and Kelsey about that. And I had got that through playing with an American team over there. But I also played with the Spanish teams, and it was incredible because I got to learn like how they play, and just the Spanish basketball is just like a beautiful like thing. It's just beautiful to watch, beautiful how they move. Their fundamentals are so much different from ours, but I just learned a different side of basketball, even being there for like 6 days, and it was incredible. I met so many cool girls, and the coach, he offered me to stay over there, but the situation was different. It was staying with the host family, and English wasn't their first language, and so for me, it was going to be a struggle. I didn't really know if I wanted to do that. And then, weighing my options, I saw that Ireland obviously was the better fit for me in terms of English being the first language, me knowing the coach and meeting like knowing that Mills and Kelsey were there. It just was like it felt more comfortable for me, and definitely a better situation for me. So yeah, I went to Ireland, and that's kind of how Ireland came about. But yeah, and then I played over there the first season. I felt fine. Everything was fine. And then I played in the preseason games. Everything was cool. I was like, wow, this is like physical over here. They were like tearing up Americans. They weren't calling any calls for Americans. I was like, dang. I was like, this is so different from American basketball, just even their style of play. Euro step is like a natural layup for them. I was like, dang, like I gotta, you think of Ireland, you're like, oh, it's like, it's we don't really know if basketball is their first sport there. Obviously football, they call GAA, Gaelic, is their first primary sport there, but basketball is up and coming, and it's no joke there. And so I wound up playing in the Super League, which is the highest league in Ireland. And so my first game, third quarter, I remember it was just a very awkward play, and I was on a fast break. I'd like tipped the ball from a girl from behind at half court, and my teammate like threw it out ahead of me, And I remember catching the ball, and I was just in a really awkward position. I didn't know if I should finish on the right side of the hoop, left side of the hoop. Long story short, I tore my ACL, which was extremely unfortunate for me because I'd never had an injury in my life. I never broke a bone. I had obviously ankle sprains. Everyone has an ankle sprain when you play basketball, but I never, had anything serious. And I undergo like one of the most serious injuries that you can have in basketball, unfortunately. But so that was my experience with playing overseas my first year. And then I can talk more about my injury if you want me to, but so then my second season, I obviously rehabbed myself back. My coach was like, listen, we still want you back. He was very caring, very supportive. I had amazing teammates that helped me through a really, really tough time in my life, and a really tough and humbling experience for me. And I was just grateful for the people that I had surrounding me there and at home as well. And I ended up rehabbing, having surgery over here in the States, and just rehabbing myself back. 9 months later, I found myself back in Ireland, and I played a full second season, and very healthy, very grateful, very blessed to have had that opportunity. And so that was what happened.
No, that's intense. That really is intense. Would you say that's probably been one of your toughest experiences you've had to dealt with to this day?
100%. I think it, like I said, it really humbled me. It definitely, I think you can deal with the pain. And I easily, I don't want to say easily dealt with the pain. It wasn't easy, but it was more of the mental battle that I had to get through, because for me, like I said, never being injured, never had broken a bone, never had spent more than 2-3 weeks at a basketball, then going to my surgeon in New York City and him saying, okay, Felicia, this is going to be a 9 to 12 months recovery. And just hearing that is just like, oh, rough. Like it was heartbreaking. Like I said, it was really humbling. I had to take a step back from basketball. It was more of I was being forced to take a step back. It wasn't my choice. Obviously, no injury is anyone's choice. But it really forced me to learn the game in another way. It forced me to push myself in areas that had never been pushed. I had to teach myself how to walk, how to jump, how to land, how to run. At every step that you wouldn't think that you needed to take physically, I took. But it was definitely the mental battle. I had my days where I was very down and, I would say depressed, and just, I think that's the biggest thing, is just stay positive each and every day. I remember journaling, taking videos of myself, seeing my progress, knowing where I was and where I wanted to be, always still setting short-term goals for myself through the process, but definitely a difficult process for sure. Definitely the most difficult thing I've ever had to undergo sports-wise and injury-wise when it came to basketball.
Yeah, no, I feel you there 100%. I can't imagine. I know I went through something really early, so it was in high school. So I kind of know what you mean, but that it was at a different point in your life. So it's like you were finally there, and then this happened. So like I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it was definitely, like I said, heartbreaking. Knowing that I got to pursue my dream and then getting there and then having it kind of taken from me. It was just a humbling experience. It made me closer to God. It made me closer to my friends. It made me closer to my teammates over there, my family here. It created actually a camaraderie in Ireland that I had become so much closer with my friends over there and my teammates, and I had a family luckily taking care of me over there, and as well as over here. And I created such a special bond with my teammates over there that I still to this day truly miss. But it was just a really humbling experience, but knowing that I could get back to the court was really important for me. But still, even when I went back my second year, it's just going through a mental battle of, okay, like now that you've torn this one, you could tear the other one. There's a higher percentage of that happening. And then, for females, it's higher than males in terms of having the higher percentage of tearing your ACL, just the way of our body makeup. And there were so many things and thoughts that were going on in my head. And I think that's when I truly started feeling anxiety in my life. And that's when I kind of realized that, basketball is such a mental battle, truly is. But like I said, I learned so much and I would never take it back. And I miss Ireland to this day. I wish I could go back and play tomorrow, but yeah, it was definitely a challenge for sure.
No, definitely. And then like, and just to, I guess, looking at the positive side, it like you said, it opened your eyes to a lot of different things outside of basketball, and it brought you closer to people. So like, and this is why I look at things like this, and I've heard, so I watch Gary Vee, and he does this thing in the morning where he talks to people, and like, certain things happen for a reason, right? And I mean, I always say that, but there was an example where this woman got in a car accident where she had things going for her, then boom, she got in a car accident. And that kind of pushed things back. The underlying factor was that because she got in the car accident, they were able to find a tumor that she didn't know she had. So they were able to make sure she was safe. So yeah, like,
wow.
So like, it's crazy. Sometimes we don't see why things happen for that reason, but when you're able to go through it, you like you said, you definitely had your ups and downs, and you battled a lot. But when you reflect on it, right, you can kind of see, not why it happened, but the positive things that came out of it.
100%. I think like bouncing off what you're saying is just being injured and being taken away from the game really allowed me to appreciate it so much more, because we go through practice, whether it's at a high school level, a college level, a professional level, you go through practice and you're like, oh, I can't wait till this practice is over. I could not wait just to practice again. I could not wait to just get back into the gym and shoot and do the things that I want to do on a normal, just everyday thing. You take those things for granted. And I took those things for granted my entire life up until this point. And I was like, I was so appreciative of the game. I was so appreciative of my health past that, because I was just like, listen, you're taken away from the game, and you learn so much about yourself internally and how you deal with situations and how you overcome challenges. And like I said, I'm just extremely blessed and thankful to have, you might think this sounds crazy, but to have undergone something like that, because at the end of the day, I'm such a different person now, and I'm so much stronger mentally and physically that from that experience that I wouldn't want to take it back.
That makes total sense. And like, you always hear like people that go through those things, they always come back stronger and better. I mean, obviously it's affected you to the point where it's a good effect, where you're now, I feel like you're at the point where I think you can really help a lot of people with your story, which is why I wanted to bring you on here, because I know.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So like, and it's like, and that's why I said, like, eventually I would love to see you, do a podcast, and then, go from there. I'll be a subscriber. Like, I want to hear, just because.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just because, like the positivity that comes out of your mouth, and just like the energy, like you can put into other people. It's there. And that's right now, especially with everything going on right now. It's just like, we need that. We need to uplift each other. People are slowly getting back to play basketball, but still, it's just like, we took this, even like, with that injury, but Corona took basketball away from, or it took a lot of things from us, so, but like for us in the
100%.
basketball world, it took basketball away. So it's not like, and I saw a lot of people like, hey, I can't take this for granted, so, but yeah, so and then what are you currently doing now? And I guess what led you to get to, that spot in the NBA that you have right now?
Yeah. So I I played my second season and I was grateful. I got my master's and it was just a amazing experience. I would highly recommend it for anybody. Like I said, the basketball in Ireland, you'd be surprised, but it's very, very competitive. And I was transitioning to knowing that I wanted to work full-time something in basketball. I didn't really know what that was. I think that's why, dialing back to what I was saying before, is just like when you're deciding on a college, kind of know, you don't have to know exactly what profession you want to go into, but kind of have an idea of certain things of interest to you, so you can study those in college and you can take courses and things like that. Because if I could go back, I loved being a communications major, and it taught me so much about public speaking and doing presentations and things that I do for the MBA now. But at the same time, I would have loved to take other courses to learn more about, whether it's things that are going on in our society today or things that, more beneficial for my life now. But anyways, going back to my second year in Ireland, I started applying to jobs because I was unsure if I wanted to continue playing, and it's always a struggle. And I will say this to the day, I wish I could still be playing now, and maybe in the future I will, maybe next year, who knows. But for me right now, I'm very content with my life here in the States. I'm very happy with my friends and my family, and I'm just very happy with my job. I love working at the NBA. It's a great environment. It's a great culture. And so pretty much I applied for jobs at the NBA. I applied for 2 jobs and I didn't hear back from the other one. And this was back in April of last year. And I was like, dang, like, I hope that I can get this. I hope I can get this. This just feels right. And it was in Secaucus, New Jersey, which is only about like 30-minute commute from my house. And I was like, man, if I could get this, this would be really great. And my coach was kind of like itching for an answer from me, because he's like, hey, Felicia, like, we want you back. Like, let's keep building this program. Let's grow this program. We were playing in the highest league, but we can always get better. And we knew as a team we could get better. And I wanted to be like their token American to stay, because there's token Americans over there on different teams that have stayed for years and are still over there. And, I'm just like, okay, do I want to do this? And I was really struggling with that decision, but I saw the opportunity for the NBA to come up. I had a few interviews when I was in Ireland, and it was awkward because they were Skype interviews, even though now it seems like everyone doing Skype and Zoom is a normality. But back then, when Corona wasn't going on, it was weird to have an interview over Skype because I wasn't going to fly home because I was still in school. And so I wound up getting a job offer at the end of May of last year, and I just took it. Like, I got a call when I came home, and they were pretty much like, okay, like, they called me, they're like, the offer is yours. Do you want to take it? And for me, they're like, I went through this time where I was like, man, if I say yes, that means I'm done with playing. And it was like a no-brainer. And although I struggled with it beforehand, knowing that I could potentially have this call, at the time it felt right for me. I had went through, my second season, I was injury free, but I went through like 2 concussions, and I went through like slightly fractured jaw over there as well. And I was like, okay, let me just, like, part of my jaw was like a little bit fractured down here. I was like, got a nice elbow to the face. Yeah. I was like, all right, they clearly don't like American basketball players over here. So, but no, it's all right. But, I was just like, man, I'm going through a lot of injury, and my body was taking it, like, playing a lot of minutes on that team. I was playing 37, 38 minutes. I was like, man, like, I'm going through a lot, so coming back from an ACL, it was a lot for my body. But I mean, I was extremely blessed and thankful to be playing those minutes and go through a healthy season. But at the end of the day, it was a lot on my body. Having just played so many minutes in college and playing so many minutes my whole life. But so I just kind of made the decision, and I'm so blessed to be able to be still working for the NBA. And I work in production right now, so it's pretty much like social media content and production. So I do some editing. I kind of like dabble in so many different areas. I do editing, I do production. I work closely with our social media team. I create sometimes highlight clips for games, for NBA games. Hopefully this season I'll be working more with the WNBA, but who knows with Corona and everything else. But so I bounce around doing different responsibilities. I also do like NBA breakdown. So I don't know if you see all those graphics that come up
Right.
on the NBA page, breaking down plays, which is so my alley because that's kind of what I did with basketball ops and breaking down scouting reports. And that's just I'm more of a basketball ops type of girl. But that's just, I like all on-court stuff. But so I love what I do. I love the camaraderie that I have. I work with all mid to late 20-year-olds, and it's great. I have great friends there, and yeah, it's awesome. So I'm hoping with Corona I've been working from home, but I'm hoping to head back into the office in about a week and a half. So yeah, we'll see. But with the NBA restart and then the WNBA restarting as well. So yeah, I know. Let's hope and pray that basketball is back.
Yeah.
But I don't know how it's looking in Florida right now. But yeah, so that's how I got to working at the NBA, and I was really, after I'm meeting my bosses in person and, meeting all my friends there, I've really created a life for myself there. And I really think that I'm meant to be there, but there's always an itch to go back and play. There's always going to be that want to play more and to, I feel like my body's fully healthy and I've rested a lot, but I don't know if I'd be able to go back and play. I mean, I think I know my coach would love me to have me back, but being 26, turning 27, you kind of have to, I love being in the States. I love being close to my friends and family here. And obviously I miss my life there, being there for 2 years, but it's definitely a struggle to make that choice. It's definitely hard to say, okay, I'm done playing basketball, but yeah, what
No,
I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And the reason why I say that is just it's me being a trainer. I'm literally probably the most skilled I've ever been in my life. And
Yeah.
literally I'm the best player, like mentally, offensively. Only thing, if I were to try to go back and play, my biggest downside is defense and being in shape.
Yeah, I know.
So,
It's so hard to stay. It's like, especially during this time, like I said, I was trying to be active and stuff like that, but it's so hard to get back into basketball shape when you can't play pickup.
yeah,
That's why I give so much credit to these NBA players. I mean, obviously they have top line traders, top line facilities, they have gyms in their house and stuff like that, but there's nothing like playing 5-on-5 and going full court and getting that type of conditioning. So it'll be interesting to see how the players come back and what type of shape they're going to be in. But yeah, it's like you said, it's just, I think I'd be going through the same thing.
it sucks. Yeah, but you're around the game, so like that's
Yeah.
you can't ask for somebody. For people in our shoes, it's like we know we could still play. We have that itch, but we're also thankful to still be a part of it somehow, some way.
Yeah, I don't think I couldn't be part of it, to be honest with you. I don't think I could not be part of basketball in some circumstance. I think I went through so many different, and I still will go through so many different opportunities and job opportunities and options in my head and weighing out different pros and cons still to this day. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know what I decide for next year. I know that I want to stay. Like I said, I love my job and I love what I do, and I'm hoping to continue to progress in that area. And I think there's just so many different fields, and I'm learning so much about basketball in a different light. I'm learning it off the court and behind the scenes in production and content, which is really interesting and awesome. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know what the future holds, but yeah, no, I'm definitely grateful, like I said, to have played overseas, and maybe further down the line I might go back, but for right now I'm really happy with where I'm at and where things are going. And I think like you said, I think we're both gonna always want to go back and play, but I think for me right now it's just staying healthy, and with Corona it wouldn't be feasible to go back this year, and possibly I think next year would be my last year of going back. But I really am happy with where I'm at job wise, and just yeah, I like my life here right now. So
Yeah, I mean that's always going to be a tough decision, but I mean whatever you do, I mean either way you're probably going to do a great job, and you'll enjoy either or, so
yeah. And I was also coaching over there as well, and I know I didn't bring that up, but I was coaching, and it was something similar to what you're doing now, Steve. Is I was coaching over there, training over there, and I really felt like I was making an impact because you know how this is. And we touched on this earlier before we talked, is just like training and feeling like you're making a difference. And I really felt like I was making a difference over there. Just because teaching them the American way of basketball and teaching them the fundamental, it's a universal sport, but teaching them from a different light, I think, was so interesting, and learning from them as well as young kids, boys, girls. I was teaching camps, I was teaching clinics, I was teaching regions over there, and I just really felt like I was making a difference, and that to me was really, really special. And I still stay in contact with some people over there, which is awesome. So yeah, who knows, maybe one day I'll go back, maybe the both of us will go and have a clinic over there. Who knows what's going to happen, but
I'm
we
not opposed.
we don't know what the opportunities have
I'm
for
not
us,
opposed
but
to that. Just let me know. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, but I'm serious. But no, seriously, no. So I mean, we'll wrap it up here, and I'll I'll ask a couple of random questions, put you on the spot. All right.
Oh God, I don't know if I'm ready for these.
I mean, they're nothing crazy. It's just like little simple, silly things. All right. So you'll
Go
be
ahead.
fine. All right. So
Shoot
what's your
'em.
favorite go-to snack?
Go-to snack. Oh wow. You really popcorn.
Popcorn. I like it.
100%. It has to be like movie theater popcorn. That would be. I mean, I love all popcorn, but yeah,
Movie theater popcorn is the best.
it's fire.
It is fire.
But kids, be healthy. Okay, be healthy and eat fruit.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a cheat day here and there, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, I feel like I've been having like 6 cheat days instead of 7 days in Corona. I'm like, all right, I have one good day. I'm like, all right, I'm eating good. And the next day I'm like, all right, let's have some chips. All right, like I'm just like, gotta get on a better schedule. But
all right, so how about this one? All right, what's
go
your
ahead.
go-to movie? If you had it, let's change that up. Let's go top 3 movies to watch.
Top 3 movies to watch. I don't want to be cliche and say like Love and Basketball, so I'm gonna go with I love comedies, so I'm gonna go with Bridesmaids is my like, just it makes me die laughing every time. Classic. But I definitely love Coach Carter. That's a movie for me. And I don't know what my third one would be. Uh, uh, uh I don't know. That's my top 2.
I'll take it.
Yeah. I like stand-up comedy. Like I love watching like Sebastian Maniscalco. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he's so funny. Like I just love like comedies. But yeah, so I'd definitely say that. I like Step Up too. I guess I'll go with Step Up. I'm all over the place with my dramas and reality TV shows, but yeah.
All right, who's your favorite on social media? Who's your favorite person to, I guess, watch on any platform? So it could be TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you.
Oh, this is easy. Justin Bieber. Like, come on. I'm
kid,
wearing a Drew shirt right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You see that. Hey, JB, hit her up. Give her some free merch.
Seriously. I had to wait for this stuff in China. It took like 3 months, but no. I love it. I love watching him.
No,
I just love him. I love his music. I love just everything about him.
No, I love his music. I'm there with you there, and his TikToks during quarantine have been great too.
Yeah, I mean, I was on TikTok like the first half of quarantine. I was like, this is great. I was like, I love this app. It's so funny. Like, I mean, listen, I was doing some basketball content on there, but then I just was like, all right, this is, maybe down the line I'll do some more of that. But yeah, no, it was just more of like a funny and a thing to do, but I haven't watched TikTok and I don't even know how many weeks. I don't even know. I used to be on it like religiously, but I just stopped being on it at night because I found myself being on it for like 2 hours and you're just like
swiping up.
Yeah, swiping up, and I'm just like
videos.
I'm like, I can't spend my time doing this. It's just too much for me. Maybe like 10 minutes a day, but I don't even do that now. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's huge. No, now and then let's go. I got to do 2 basketball ones. Your favorite player ever? Who's your favorite player?
Favorite player ever? I'm going to have to go with Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi.
Love Diana.
But right now, currently, I'd have to go with Sabrina. Unescu. I have to say she's just incredible. But I definitely say of all time is definitely Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi. They're definitely people I looked up to when I was growing up.
I grew up. My dad was a big UConn fan, so I used to watch growing up. Used to watch Diana Taurasi. It was obviously Sue Bird, but Diana Taurasi was somebody I loved watching because her shooting ability, like she was. Everyone says Steph, but like she was doing that before Steph was doing it. Like,
oh yeah, no, she's. I mean, I obviously love the NBA. That's what I do for my job. I watch all the NBA games, but I would definitely say. I mean, on the men's side, I'd probably have to go with LeBron, but just the way that he handles himself on and off the court is just incredible, and the pressure he undergoes every day, and media and everything. I mean, every NBA player does that, but he's really under the public eye. So, I definitely say those are my top 3 players for sure.
All right. And then if you could have one other dream job, what would it be?
I would say play in the WNBA because I mean, I just think that was always my dream, but it definitely it has to be something basketball related. I couldn't think of something not, and I don't want to sound cliche, but that would definitely be my other dream job. I mean, I think if I took my mind out of basketball, which is, I guess, if you take your mind out of a passion, I would love to be like, let's see.
This is good. I like this.
Yeah, this is great. I love these questions. I don't know. I'd love to be like a scientist or like a doctor or I don't know.
Still making a change and helping people.
Something, yeah, definitely like that. I have so much appreciation for doctors and nurses during this time. But yeah, no, I definitely be like something. Yeah, I don't know. Scientist is cool. Maybe like something to do with the ocean. I don't know. I don't know. Feel like I'd be all over the place if I decide. Yeah.
No, I really, cool. I threw that, like that one I just made up because it was just like, we've been so basketball oriented. Like, well, what would another type of dream job would you, I have mine is right now. I would love to be a musician, like an artist.
Oh yeah. That would be pretty cool. You know what? If I had like a top 3, now that I think of it, I'd probably be like something to do with like, I'd love to be like a food taster. Like I'd love to be like that Guy Fieri guy and just go around and just
get paid to
go drive around. Yeah, right?
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to do that? Like,
yeah, I know. Yeah, but no, I agree. Definitely, love to be like a dancer or like a musician or that would. Yeah, you're right.
But me personally, I love performing. I like to be on stage. I like to dance. Like if I could sing, I would love to sing, but I can't sing. So it's something I do on the side, like in terms of dancing. I made a couple of dancing TikToks.
I saw that actually. I saw that. I was like, okay. I saw Justin Bieber one. I was like, all right.
That's why I had to do the JB one.
The Intentions one or something?
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
I tagged him. He didn't respond, man.
I know. I feel. I text him all the time. He doesn't get back to me.
Oh man, that's terrible. Come on, JB. I know you're an NDO podcast person too, so come on. We gotta help us here. But no, seriously. No, but seriously, no, Fish, thank you for taking this time to talk to me, talk to the people that I have listening to the podcast. Really appreciate it. Your story is amazing. Obviously, we can talk for hours about basketball and different things.
I know.
With it, from the mental side to the actual game. I just like we can keep going, but really, no, from the bottom of our hearts, like thank you for taking this time. I know it's been tough time for everybody, but you made the time, so I really appreciate that.
Of course, yeah, 100%, Steve. And obviously, let's keep in touch. And I'm glad and blessed and thankful for you inviting me onto this. And I look forward to our next episode sometime in the future of maybe talking overseas basketball, talking about that process, whatever you need, I'm here, and I'm grateful to have met you, like I said. And thank you for having me on.
Gratitude. I appreciate it. So thank you guys for listening. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast, on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, Spotify, please like this, leave a comment, whatever, subscribe. Really appreciate it. YouTube, this will be up on YouTube. So if you guys watch this, it was like an hour and some change. But this has so many gems. I got to go find a clip from our long conversation so I could post it on Instagram, because there's so much, great, just gems to take and just share it with people. Just clap. Anyway, but no, so seriously, last thing, I always do this. I'm a brand ambassador for Gain. So if you want a plant-based protein, that's what I take. You can get 30% off your first purchase using the code NDO Training Steve. Appreciate that. And yeah, so keep grinding, stay safe, everybody. We appreciate you, and keep grinding. No days off.
Thank you. Stay healthy.
You too.